Comment. Hello and welcome to the adventures of David Perkins. This time I've gone for a walk in the Nepalese Himalayas. From landing in the capital city of Kathmandu, I took the bus to the town of Jiri, some 70 miles east, and from there I would follow the rising sun to the monastery at Taxindu-La. The bus journey took around 12 hours and followed a scenic route winding through the hills and valleys up into the mountains. I stayed overnight in Jiri, in a pleasant guest house on the main road, well, the only road through Jiri to be fair. In the morning I set off, careful to pay a stop at the town stupa and roll the mani wheels, and listen to the monks. There were a great many stupas and monks along the way, and I stopped at as many as I could. I was surprised to see how much the countryside in Nepal looks like Britain, most notably the extensive pine trees. Nepalese use the pine trees as cooking fuel. The scent of the resin given off from the wood seems strangely comforting. The villages nestled in between the hills seem peaceful and quiet, with a gentle background hum provided by chicken and cow. I had expected cool temperatures, but it was not to be. Most days walking was somewhat warm, even with the shade provided by the mountain plants. The many waterfalls and rivers gave a welcome chance to cool down. There were a lot of lizards sunbathing on the rocks, but I have little knowledge of reptiles and their species remain unknown to me. I attempted to seize upon one for inspection, but that proved rather difficult. Those lizards are wily creatures and seem opposed to being caught. The further I walked, the larger and faster flowing the rivers became, fed from the snow melt higher up. The water often had a vibrant blue tinge to it, perhaps caused by minerals in the rock. The valleys are often best crossed via the metal suspension bridges, some new and in good repair, others, well, not so much, but I didn't get a soaking, so no complaints. There are a number of surprisingly large and well-established villages in the mountains, and the residents have used every available flat space to plant crops and keep animals. Goat, chicken and cow were noticeably popular the further I went on, perhaps more suited to the terrain. The people I met were friendly and welcoming. I even spent an evening playing chess with the local constabulary. We had vegetable curry for our dinner, and it was absolutely delicious. Goods and supplies are taken through the mountains on mule trains. Some of these trains can be as many as 50 animals long, and were often directed by a man brandishing nothing more than a thin stick, but it clearly got the job done. After many days of walking the mountains, I could have done with a man with a stick myself. Frankly, at some points I just didn't care for the walking anymore, curry or not. Prayer flags are common in Nepal, with the colours symbolising natural aspects of the world. The blue for the sky and space, white for the air and wind, red for fire, green for water, and yellow for the earth. Cows are found at quite a high altitude, and are kept for dairy use. The fresh unpasteurised milk is filling and has a lot of flavour. Yaks and naks are also to be found in the Himalayas, and I sampled some nak cheese one day. I found it to be like a mild cheddar with a hint of parmesan. Dogs in the mountains wear rather loud collars, which is more than I can say about the cowbells. One day I hid for a couple of hours behind some rocks when I mistook a large black shape in the forest for a bear. Its disguise was only exposed when it mooed. The Buddhist mantra most seen carved into boulders or painted onto the side of cliffs is Om Mani Padme Hum. The mantra means hail to the jewel in the lotus, and is associated with Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion. A monk at Taxindu-La later explained to me that reading or just observing the words has the same benefit as speaking them aloud. I was also told that the mantra is written on paper and placed inside mani wheels. Rotating them activates the words. Back to the cheese for a moment. I did store some in a bag for eating at a later date, but after a few days being warmed by the sun, it had become full of flavour and considerably less appetising. Eventually its location needed no map. I had assumed Buddhist monasteries to be quiet places, but they were often alive with music and song. I found the whole experience rather charming. Next time on the Adventures of David Perkins, I will be walking the Carneds in North Wales.